All right, YouTube. My son is like so into YouTubers. It's hilarious.
I feel like that's the thing now, right? Like there's no more like Saturday morning cartoons or watching like Pokemon or something. It's like you watch your YouTuber.
Yeah, he watches. Oh yeah, exactly. He watches YouTubers, and I guess he thinks it's cool that I'm in. That I'm a YouTuber. I don't hell if I know. Anyway, so for
Start
DFS,
vlogging. You can start
yeah,
walking around. Hey guys.
vlogging. Yeah. So for DFS purposes, this slate is interesting.
Yeah.
It's not nearly like the pricing is just loose as hell. I think, right? Oh my god, maybe I looked at this wrong. Yeah, I looked at it wrong. I'm an idiot. I was looking at Flex. I was looking at Flex out. I was like, why is Kyler Murray $12,000 as the top captain? I had actually clicked on Amari Rodgers. Kyler Murray. I was like that cannot be possibly right. You could do whatever you want with the lineup. Kyler Murray 18K. Aaron Rodgers 17-1. Devontae Adams is 16-5, but we believe is going to miss the game. DeAndre Hopkins, 15-9, questionable tag on him. Aaron Jones, 13-5. James Conner, 11-7. Yeah. Chris Kirk, 10-8. Chase Edmonds, 10-5. AJ Green is 10-2 on this showdown slate. And that's everybody above $10,000. There is one player in between the backup quarterbacks, which they always lump together in that $9,000 range just to make you the Marcus Mariota thing made them, they bump it up in case, somebody's ruled out. They keep the backups high up there in case somebody's ruled out, especially with COVID. Zach Ertz, 9-3. And then everybody else is, Alan Lazard is out, of course, and starts at Rondell Moore, 7-2 for a captain spot. Who is your optimal captain in this spot?
Favorite captain, Aaron Jones, by far. I think he's going to get a ton of work, whether it's, through the air in the passing game or on the ground or both. Again, I just think that he is going to be a focal point in this Packers offense because they don't really have anybody else that can be as electrifying and can rip off a 50-yard play like Devontae Adams could. The only guy that can really replace that is Aaron Jones. So to me, I just love where he's priced, 13-5, and you can still put in both quarterbacks and still fill out a roster that is pretty competitive there. So to me, I love that. And it's probably chalky. I'm assuming, again, maybe Kyler's the most chalk, but I just think that, he is someone who I think is going to be the optimal captain.
Yeah, I think when I look at these captains, Kyler has to be in play, obviously. His rushing ability. I know earlier in the show I took the under in his rushing yards. They don't run him a lot, but he has, it's there. Yeah. There's nothing that says that Kyler Murray can't rip off a 60-yard touchdown run. They've used him plenty this season near the red zone. And look, I take that under. It's possible that this game is close, is more high scoring than you and I are expecting, and that Kyler is forced to use his legs more than we think because we just haven't seen a ton of it thus far in the season, and because most of these Arizona games have not been close. And I agree with you completely that Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and Kyler Murray probably going to be the three top captain choices. Aaron Jones is, as we point out, you can get him at 13-5, right? So when you're looking at I don't have any interest in an 11-7 James Conner, I don't think. And there's a pathway for him to be the optimal captain. It involves Arizona with a big lead, and then he's running late. But even then, he sort of has to score twice.
That's my thing. He's a sleeper captain for me just because of that reason, where it's just Arizona's up. They're in the red zone early. They can't convert through the air. So they're like at the 5 and they just hand it off to James Conner. And that's a sneaky way that you get there. Again, it's a sleeper one because I don't think there's going to be a lot of high ownership.
Well, and I think the problem with that too is, with Conner, you would have some leverage by if you went to him in that sense. The problem with Conner, I think, is that if you go in that direction, for him to get the usage that's gonna be make him the optimal captain, you're gonna have a ton of points from Kyler and a ton of points from DeAndre Hopkins in theory, or whether it's Zach Ertz from the pass catchers, right? I mean, just because they're not going to use James Conner until they get a lead, and I think that's when they start to pound him. That's just my theory there. But let's plug Aaron Jones in as the captain there, Chris, and we'll see if we can build out a lineup here with Jones as the captain. I'm probably not going to have any interest in the two defenses.
No,
but But like you said, let's we can toss in both quarterbacks at flex. Kyler Murray 12,000 and Aaron Rodgers 11,400. Devontae Adams may not make the optimal lineup. All right, so where do you go after you get the two quarterbacks?
I think you probably look again. I would look at AJ Dillon.
Yep.
I just think that another person is super cheap. He's like $1,400.
Yeah,
Someone who I
so
think
he actually scored negative fantasy points last week.
Yeah, and I
had him in a lineup and thought it was going to cost me. I had him over Khalil Herbert. He fumbled, and they basically stopped using him.
Yeah,
and they sent him a message. But this is a little different because this game is against. They had Washington was just sort of screwing around and messing up and couldn't stay in the game. And I think they just didn't want to, coaches bench guys who fumble all the time. But this game is a key NFC battle in prime time. Dillon will want to redeem himself, and without Devontae Adams, you need to. I think that they'll probably try and get again Aaron Jones in the passing game. I think you can see maybe use even two running backs more often on the field, where it's like line up Aaron Jones out wide, since you're short on receivers, put AJ Dillon in the backfield. You can pound AJ Dillon. And look, if the Packers get a lead, if they're suddenly putting one on Arizona, you're going to see plenty of AJ Dillon late. I would anticipate. So I like having him in there as well. Who else you got?
And so the other one, again, you can just see it right there. MVS, if he's playing, I think he'll be the top wide receiver option for Aaron Rodgers. So again, if he's taking on even half of Devontae Adams' targets, that's a healthy workload for any guy. And if he can be somewhat efficient, we're talking about someone who could has the opportunity to put up a lot of yards. And with both of those guys, Dillon and MVS, I don't think you're going to see some ownership, obviously, but
I don't think it'd be very high.
It's not going to be very high. Like, I don't think this is, a slam dunk that everybody's like, oh, let me just plug in the number one receiver for the Packers.
Yeah, he's got an IR next to his name, and he'll probably have it. And the other thing too with MVS is that's nice is you have a literal replacement $200 cheaper in Randall Cobb right there, where if MVS isn't able to go in this game, you can, if you got 150 lineups, you're gonna have to rerun a bunch of them. But if you're just, if you're just hand building 10 lineups or whatever, you could get off of MVS very quickly and go to Randall Cobb. So either Cobb or MVS is good there. And I would assume you're filling out the final spot with one of Kyler Murray's pass catchers.
Right. We would have to come back at some point or another. You can go James Conner if you like that. You can see what's available. I think Edmonds is also available too.
But you can get Christian Kirk. Oh, no,
or Christian Kirk.
Look, you got Kirk. You got Kirk.
So you can kind of get your pick of the litter there of who you want outside of DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green. So to me, feel free. Christian Kirk, totally fine with that. And that one to me, again, it's not bad. I don't hate it.
I like that lineup. I do think that lineup in particular, just because of how it works out with going in the Aaron Jones direction and then having the money to do that. Your cheapest guy is $1,400. You feel like you've got some quality players in the lineup. You don't have a $200 dart throw or anything here. I would guess that lineup. And by the way, if MVS was active, I would probably have an MVS. You don't have to change it, but I would have an MVS lineup and a Randall Cobb lineup just in case.
Yeah.
Like if you're entering do the same lineup, but with you swap out Cobb for MVS. You can do the same with, swap out Kirk for AJ Green or Zach Ertz even. All right, let's see what a lineup with old Kyler Murray as our captain looks like, because I'm pretty sure that you could do a good one here. We'll go Kyler as the captain all the way at the top. You probably got to flip it back there. DraftKings on desktop is the worst. There you go, $18K for Kyler at the captain spot. Now, again, Kyler's going to be a popular captain here because you can basically do the exact same thing that we just did with Aaron Jones as the captain. We'll toss in Aaron Rodgers. We'll toss in Aaron Jones. We'll toss in a Randall Cobb, a pass catcher. And again, you could go MVS if you were so inclined. But you could probably have a lot of money left over here. Actually, you know what? Toss in Bob Tonyan too. Let's see if we get this. Let's go Bob Tonyan there. He's right there at 4,600. Scroll up one. So if you just scroll up just a touch, and you'll be able to see Big Bob Tonyan. Am I getting greedy with Tonyan here? I may be getting greedy with Tonyan. You got him in there.
Yeah, he's in there.
I was like, I don't see him. Where'd he go? And then, I sort of stumbled my way into. Let's go AJ Dillon here.
Okay.
Leaving $2,000 on the table. That's a a lot.
He might. My only
Can I
question
add it?
is,
Was Scantling available?
I don't.
No, he's 3,800. So I couldn't have
No.
got it. All right, so we're leaving $2,000 in salary on the table there, but it's like it's a Packers onslaught, and then it's a Packers onslaught with Kyler as the captain. So you're basically hoping that Kyler distributes a ton, and that Rodgers, he finds those three guys, and then the Packers have a lead, and Dillon is running the ball a bunch. I don't know if I love the AJ Dillon factor in there, but I do think that game script kind of adds up, right?
My only problem with Dillon in all of these lineups, because I've made a bunch leading up to the pod, and the thing is, he's just like a notable name when you get really down into that like lower tier, where I think a lot of people just gravitate towards him. I know, he's coming off the bad game and all of that, but I do have a little bit of concern about ownership in the standpoint of like, all right, if you get down to that $1,200, you're picking between him, St. Brown, and you're deciding between these guys. You're gonna go, all right, well, I'm gonna go with the running back here. And I do wonder if it's almost a little too chalky of a cheap play.
No. I think that's a great point, because so the first 3 weeks of the season, he totaled 15 carries in 3 games. Now he did have he's been a really good pass catcher this season, like way more than he ever was at Boston College. But then against Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and Chicago, he totaled 34 carries over those 3 games and was really trending in a positive direction. And that's why, honestly, I felt comfortable. And he had that receiving touchdown, 4 catches, 49 yards against Cincinnati, like a very nice output there.
Well, Matt LaFleur was even talking about getting him more involved in game plans. I think it was after the I forget what game it was, but he caught like 4 or 5 passes, and they were like, "Yep, we need to get him more involved." And you're like, "Oh, okay, here we go."
And then he comes out, and he rushes 11 times against Chicago, only 59 yards. That's 5.4 per carry. But then on last week, 3 carries, 6 yards, 2 targets, 1 catch, and he had a fumble. His only first fumble of the year. The problem for him is he has only played 40% or more of the snaps in 2 games. The first 3 weeks of the season, sub 30%, 40, 33, 42, and then 23% of the snaps last week. He also spends a bunch of time on special teams. And so my point here is that dovetails with what you're saying. If he's super chalky if he's the cheap chalk, and he plays 20 to 25% of the snaps, he's probably going to bust out and cost people a lot of money. It's basically like Rashad Penny on Monday night, where if you can get him for nothing, and he does have upside because this is a run heavy team. But if Dillon doesn't get 10 plus carries, or find the end zone, or get 3 or 4 targets, it's going to be really tough for him to meet the point total you need, not for the salary, but for his ownership.
Yeah, and I just wonder, are you more available to go? Can you go MVS with AJ Dillon?
Yeah, let's take Dillon out and see. We could go.
You can't, but I'm saying like you can go.
Yeah, let's take out Bob Tonyan too.
But what I'm saying is, I wonder if you're better served going with the dart. I wonder if you're better served going with the dart throw of St. Brown or Amari Rodgers than you would be for somebody like Dillon.
Well, see, we got hold on, take out Equinami St. Brown and scroll up, and let's see who the cheapest guy we can toss in there is. Scroll the other way. Sorry. See who we're gonna just see it, because we got 4,200 left. I just want to see who's available under. So we could go with like Mason Crosby or even Matt Prater. I mean, kickers, I don't think it's crazy to suggest a kicker might be
in a game where we're talking about both offenses being able to move the ball, not terrible.
Well, and Cliff Kingsbury will settle for a field goal. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury will settle for a field goal. He is not afraid to kick one. So yeah, I mean, you could go in that direction. You could also you could take out Prater and Valdez-Scantling and go with Adon and Rondale Moore if you wanted to go with a pass catcher. It does feel like if you're going Kyler, I mean, let's I tell you what, take out Cobb too, and let's see and scroll up and let's look at these Arizona pass catchers, because you don't have to go Green Bay onslaught, and there's going to be a lot of 4-2 4 Arizona, 2 Green Bay will be the primary makeup of most of these lineups, I think. So let's toss in Hopkins.
We haven't said Hopkins' name a lot.
I know.
Might as well see.
I mean, I think people are going to really want to get Kyler and Aaron Rodgers in there, and if you do that, then you're going to have to. Man, that's tough. Are there 2 $500 players that we can even use? Hey, that might not be.
You might be asking a little too much.
St. Brown's what, 900 or no 600? Yeah, we could do Amari Rodgers and Economy of St. Brown.
It's a dart throw, but sure, that you're talking about.
I mean, you've got the 4 biggest names on the slate.
Yeah.
And like the 4 most likely to explode guys on the slate.
And potentially the number 2 and number 3 receivers for Green Bay.
Yeah. Let's see what Amari. I mean, obviously, I haven't even looked at Amari Rodgers.
You're not looking at much.
I mean, he's a rookie out of Clemson. He's not. He played 26% of the snaps in week 1, and has not played more than 10% of the snaps since then. Seen his special teams numbers rise. If Marquez Valdez-Scantling doesn't go, Economy of St. Brown is a pretty good play. And so then the other thing you could do is you could if you wanted, you could take out Hopkins and Amari Rodgers and go with AJ Green, and then let's see who that would leave us with. Sorry, Chris, we're all over the place on you here. Probably scroll up to the top, and AJ Green, I think it was like 5K or no, like 8K, probably something like that. 6.8. All right, there we go. So yeah, that's 4,000 cheaper, which means you're going to have. Let's see who's the cheapest guy we got available at 4,200. That's Matt Prater. So one of those kickers. You could go one of those kickers too.
Yeah.
And that would be again, kickers not always optimal. Don't mind them. I don't hate that lineup.
No.
3 and 3. Maybe that'll be a popular pick too. Okay, what's our Costanza?
Well,
you have another lineup too. Do you have
no. I think it's interesting because we have a little bit of a different viewpoint on this game.
You have a different viewpoint of this game. Yeah, that's true. Like I'm like Packers onslaught. You're like no, that's the weird lineup.
so that's exactly what I'm saying. Like my Costanza lineup is a Packers onslaught where Aaron Rodgers is my captain, which is something we haven't hit yet. So let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Throw Aaron Rodgers in there.
I mean, look, the explanation on Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray as captains doesn't need to be
right.
I mean, right. I mean, like people understand that they're good, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Quarterbacks can dominate these single game slates, and both of those guys have the highest possible. Yeah, I think if you're looking at pure ceiling, unquestionably Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers the top ceilings. If Kyler's ceiling is like 50 points as a captain. Aaron Rodgers is probably 40 to 50 as well, just because he doesn't have quite as much rushing equity. We saw Alvin Kamara have an absolutely monster. If you didn't have Alvin Kamara as a captain, you were dead on Monday night. Dead. And even like I had lineups that didn't even cash with Alvin Kamara as the captain because you just had to hit on Kamara and DK Metcalf. And if you didn't have those two in your lineup, and the point being is like, when you have a guy who can break a slate like that, if you don't have him as a captain, it's a problem. This game should be it'll be more high scoring though than that Monday night game. And so I don't think you'll find yourself in a spot where, without the top guy, you're completely hosed. But if there's someone who can put up the number that Kamara did last week, it's Rodgers or Kyler Murray. So
right.
Anywho.
And so for this lineup, I'm more looking at a, vintage Aaron Rodgers game where everybody's like, well, nope, it's the Cardinals, especially now that Devontae Adams is gone. It's not really going to happen. And Aaron Rodgers comes in and says, no wide receivers, no problem. Throws it all over the field. Aaron Jones obviously has to be in the mix with all of that. So I won't have you scroll around a ton. We'll throw Kyler Murray in there to kind of surge his way back into this game. And the two kind of X factors to me, we touched on them already here. My two X factors for the Packers would be St. Brown and MVS. If he starts to go off, and those two are his main pass catching weapons, and he's for some reason not going to Tunyon, he's going to his wide receivers, he's going on the outside, deep over the middle. To me, that's where you start to kind of break things up a little bit. And from here, you can go with Christian Kirk. That's who I like in this, especially if Kyler Murray's trying to come back. He can't obviously have Hopkins, but he does have to have somebody that you're throwing to me. If you can get Kirk in there, this lineup to me makes a lot of sense from a Packers, Aaron Jones, no wide receiver, no problem standpoint.
Yeah, and I think you can go 5-1 if you wanted Packers with Cardinals, but your one I think has to be Kyler Murray.
Yes, it does.
If you're going to do that, if you're going 4-2, I don't think there'll be a ton of 4-2 Packers lineups. Although maybe there will. No, well, the issue is that when you start to look at the cheaper options, it's almost exclusively. Let's go to flex look real quick. Like when you look at the people that you would want to roster at $2,000 or less, right? You have AJ Dillon at 1,400, Mercedes Lewis 1,000, Economy St. Brown 600, Amari Rogers 400. There is no one from, Greg Dortch is even playing. I didn't realize he was on the Cardinals. There's almost nobody from Arizona. In fact, there is nobody from Arizona, unless I'm missing somebody that is below $2,000 that you would want to roster. So it's possible that what we see, that the chalky stuff ends up being, I think you're right about AJ Dillon. I think he's going to be insanely owned.
Yeah, it's just because when you get down to that line, that area of the price pool, it's like, I don't know. He just seems like the name that a lot of people will gravitate towards.
Well, it's just he's surprisingly cheap for a guy who's had good usage in three of the last 4 weeks. And you're talking about a guy that will see 20+% of the snaps. And we think, 20+% of the snaps and stuff like 5 to 10 carries minimum, you would hope at $1,400. Man, that is a little, I like that lineup that you got there, the 4-2. Because my point being is that with St. Brown, Valdez, all the cheaper options are Packers guys because Devontae Adams is out. So I think we'll see a lot of 3-3s and maybe more 4-2s with the Packers guys than we maybe thought, because when you're filling out these lineups and you're trying to get cheaper guys, you're trying to save money so you can get these studs. It's St. Brown and Dillon who are going to be the guys that are popular.
Yeah. That's basically how I look at it. But do you have a Costanza one by chance? I mean, I know we're talking about Dillon maybe being a chalky play. Is there any captain? Is there any captaincy there? Like, do we just go weird with it where it's like it's not an Aaron Jones game, it's an AJ Dillon game? What are we thinking?
I think we could justifiably say that. Is Ron or the four guys that I think would be interesting, cheaper captains who also have good ceilings. I would say cheaper. Rondell Moore or Randall Cobb at 7,200 or 5,400. Don't plug them in yet, but those two guys are, if you actually let's do a Randall Cobb okay. Captain, because Cobb he's 5,400 for a captain spot, right?
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, he's cheap, man. And the goal here is like, if we go Randall Cobb in the captain, I think that we can pretty much do whatever we want. Obviously, we're going to go Kyler. Oh yeah. You can do whatever you want.
You can pretty much. Go down the list.
It's the two quarterbacks, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, and then surprise, surprise, our old friend. So go Hopkins, Aaron Jones. Oh, look at that. That's what we call AJ Dillon money left over. And so 14, you get $1,600 left over when you do that. So that could leave you for and that, to your point, like if you get 5 guys in there and you have $1,500 or less available, you're going with AJ Dillon. Let's do one more, Chris. I just want to see what it looks like if we put. Should we do a Hopkins captain lineup?
Sure. I'm interested in that.
Hopkins can, nuke a slate.
Very similar to Adams. We're talking about top 3 receivers in the league.
And I don't think he'll be a popular captain option either, because people will they're either going to go
with the quarterbacks or go with the running back, or they're going to try to get some value at receiver down with Green Bay.
Well, there's so much cheap options that if you have Hopkins, if you said, why are you going to Hopkins as the captain when you can go Kyler?
Yeah.
I guess it's 3,100, but that doesn't really matter. Obviously we're going to go with Kyler in that as well. see something here.
I will tell you this. I'm just getting this over my phone right now. And again, we record these on Wednesday. Or you're on YouTube. You see us.
JJ Watt is out.
JJ Watt is out. That's what I was.
That's a big deal for both Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon.
Yes.
He has been awesome against the run this year. And
that is something to keep an eye on, obviously.
That is a big deal. Watt's been having a really good season.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm not lying that he's been good against run. Let's look at the
But again, when we're talking about these, Aaron Jones lineups and we're talking about AJ Dillon getting in there on that cheap price, it's like, well, it makes a little bit more sense. Even, obviously, one player sometimes doesn't make a difference, but still a guy like JJ Watt, you're talking about maybe it being even, easier sledding for these guys to make an impact. So it makes maybe even more emphasis to get in your lineups.
JJ Watt, the third highest rated defender on PFF in terms of their defense. He's not elite run defense, but good run defense. Great. I'm gonna tell you. You can see it. He's having a good year without the big splash plays that JJ Watt so often was known for. That makes me feel a lot better about AJ Dillon. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Let's throw Aaron Jones in there. Let's see if we can. Yes. Ooh. Okay, yeah. So Aaron Jones, and here's where you kind of have to make a decision. If you want to have Aaron Rodgers in there, you need to do what we did before, which is go Equanimeous St. Brown and Amari Rodgers. And so actually, hold on, before you go down, because we did that before, people know that. Scroll back up and let's take out Aaron Rodgers, and because there's a pathway where Rodgers is not in the optimal lineup, I think.
Yeah.
You can go Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, and Randall Cobb plus Cobb, and then you would have enough left over for Christian Kirk. So you actually got $8,100 left.
That's an interesting one. I think that's going to be. I think that's a.
That would be fair. I think that would be fairly unique.
Lineup.
Yeah, and you've got access. Look, you've got with no JJ Watt, you got access to the two best runners in. You got the two top running backs on Green Bay's roster. You have access to Kyler Murray and two pass catchers, and then Cobb, who could very well be the number one receiver in this game. I think people are maybe sleeping on him a little bit. 3,600. We don't feel like he's elite, but did we even look at him for first touchdown catch, or was he just?
I think he was high, to be honest with you. Like I think it was under 10 to 1.
Yeah, that just
was
doesn't
12 to 1.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean,
12 to 1's not. That's pretty low.
Yeah, I mean,
if I'm Randall Cobb first touchdown, I'd like 25 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're looking at that like how you're illustrating, like trusted weapon, known commodity for Rodgers. If they get in that area,
sure. Yeah, so I guess that would be kind of my Costanza lineup of sorts. I don't know. I don't feel like I guess I don't have a super strong take on how this game plays out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the thing is too. It's the pricing kind of makes it a lot. Like there's it's easier. You almost are forcing.
It's loose pricing. It's the Devontae Adams situation caused the pricing to become extremely loose because there are all of these Packers receivers who are now in play that are, what is who's the most expensive? Is it Cobb is the most expensive?
It's probably Cobb,
right?
And it just takes away a big decision.
No, because Lazard. Devontae Adams is $1,100.
Yep.
Alan Lazard is $5,200. So now the most expensive Packers pass catcher is Robert Tonyan.
Right. So not only does it make guys a little, it opens the mind a little bit more where it's like, okay, this is a path where, a clearer path to go down, or at least less paths to choose from. And it's also pretty much eliminates a captain decision too, where you're just like, okay, instead of choosing between, 4 or 5 guys, I'm eliminating Green Bay and I'm eliminating Devontae Adams. So now I'm only really down to the quarterbacks, Hopkins and Jones. And those are really the only, I would say realistic options for the captain spot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. And I think there's a pathway where like a Randall Cobb could be your captain.
Sure. But I'm talking about in terms of the chalky kind of.
Yeah. The super high upside guys. Right. Absolutely. That's probably the case. All right. Anything else we need to touch on for DFS?
No, I think we did it, man.
Nice. Our 30-minute showdown breakdown is we need to start creating some charts and stuff like the smart DFS people.
I like it.
I'm just kidding. We'll probably do that. All right. For Sully and Brinson, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Good luck. Let's go win some money.